What makes a hero's journey? Is it watching someone overcome their biggest obstacles? Is it seeing them push past their limits, conquer their fears, and finally achieve their goals? What comes after that? What does a hero do after they've finally won? Do they just keep winning? What struggles do they have now that they've conquered their major issues? Does their story remain inspiring? Does it have as much meaning as the first half of it? What becomes of a hero when his goal was accomplished? And what happens when a hero eventually falls? The thing I love about professional wrestling is that at its heart, it is emotional storytelling at its finest. Yes, the results are scripted, but a wrestler's job is to portray a character and make it feel real. Make their struggles real, their heartbreaks, their losses, their triumphs over victory feel real. Their real life pain, making that feel real to the audience. Physical and emotional storytelling is the key to professional wrestling's appeal. They have heroes, they have villains, all having their own motives and personalities that make them different from each other. They have all gone down different journeys to end up where they are now. And today, I want to take a look at one of my favorite examples of not just wrestling storytelling, but modern storytelling. The story of Hangman Adam Page and his hero's journey. How a noble cowboy became a violent outlaw.
My evil way.
Hangman Adam Page was a young journeyman wrestler trying to make a name for himself on the independent circuit, traveling around the world gaining mileage and experience, but more importantly, making friends along the way in a rebellious group of outlaws called the Bullet Club.
Bullet Club. For life.
Now, the Bullet Club at the time Page stumbled across them was the most popular faction in the wrestling world at the time, led by the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. The three of them, seeing potential in this kid, decided to take him under their wing and look out for him. The newly dubbed Elite went on to become even more popular than before, eventually forming off and creating their own wrestling company in All Elite Wrestling. Hangman saw this new company as a chance to finally prove himself. He sees an opportunity to step out of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega's shadow and step out as his own man. See, while Hangman was a good wrestler, he was still nowhere in the same league as the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. The Bucks were considered the best tag team in the world, and Kenny Omega, well, he was seen as the greatest wrestler of the modern era, the best bout machine, competing in some of the most critically acclaimed matches of the modern era. Compared to them, Hangman was just a guy. He was someone that they took under their wing, and he was desperate to prove himself and step out of that shadow. So he promises the world that he is going to carry this new company on his back and be the first world champion in AEW. And because of his close relationship with the Bucks and Kenny, he is given a shot. But it is against Chris Jericho. Now, unlike the still young and unproven Hangman, Chris Jericho is a 30-year veteran, a multiple-time world champion at that. He has main evented more pay-per-views than Hangman has even been booked on. And up against this much experience, Hangman crumbled under the pressure. And this loss would go on to define Hangman for the next 2 years. Even when he found success in other divisions, he'd still have this cloud of darkness going over him, this inner conflict within himself and his place in this new company and in the Elite. He feels he is undeserving of being around them, and compared to them, he is lesser than. He feels like that he has been a charity case to them. The Bucks and Kenny try to reassure him and disprove this, but all that does is further establish his inferiority and further isolates himself from them as he attempts to drown his insecurities in alcohol. Eventually, Hangman was manipulated into screwing over his friends in an attempt to hold on to what little success he managed to carve out for himself. A mistake that eventually cost him everything: his tag titles with Kenny Omega and his friendship with him and the Bucks.
You didn't want to be our friend. You didn't want to be in the Elite. And no, we were too stupid. We were too naive. We were just hanging on to something that didn't exist. Hangman, this is what you wanted, right? Well, fine. We're done. You're out of the Elite. You're out.
Within the span of half a year, Hangman went from the bright new hopeful of the company to just another guy lost in the shuffle, forced to watch as his friends succeed without him. Hangman had hit rock bottom, but lucky for him, he was about to stumble across a group that was also left adrift.
Join the Dark Order.
Now, how do I explain the Dark Order to people? Well, they're a group of losers that banded together and formed a positivity cult. It's wrestling, don't think about it. Don't think about it. They were a real-life group of newbies and journeymen who were looking out for each other and supporting each other during their matches. But because of real-life tragedy, they were also a group that was left adrift. So of course they gravitated towards the Hangman, wanting to befriend him and looking out for him during his matches and trying to be supportive towards him because they relate to somebody who is also adrift. And though apprehensive at first, feeling unworthy of being a part of a group considering what he did to his last group, he eventually comes around and finally has a supportive system around him that sees the best in him, but doesn't make him feel like inferior. His fan support also starts to grow, as the fans grow more attached to this cowboy that's sharing beers with them, and many identifying with his struggles and respecting his efforts for trying to get out of his funk. The legend of the Hangman began to grow. He was a hero on the rise as arenas across the country echoed with fans wanting to see some cowboy shit. With this support system behind him, Hangman starts winning again and gradually climbs back up the card until finally, he's the next in line for a world title shot. But there's one problem here. It's a title currently being held by Kenny Omega, who alongside the Bucks have devolved back into their cocky, arrogant personalities from their Bullet Club days, as they have all but taken over the company as the Super Elite. They're done letting other people have the opportunity. They're done with charity cases and being gracious towards the younger guys. They're done with being held back by what they see as dead weight. Page is initially still uncertain of whether he's even a worthy challenge for Omega. After 2 years of failure and regret, he doubts if he's capable of saving the company from the poison his former friends have become. But with encouragement of the Dark Order and the fans, it pushes him forward. The Hangman saddles up to the challenge, standing beside his friends in what is, and I mean no hyperbole at this, one of the greatest moments in modern wrestling. Hangman and the Dark Order, standing side by side, defining what cowboy shit truly means. To stand up for adversity, no matter the odds, and doing so for not just yourself, but for the people around you and because it is the right thing to do. Doing right by the people who believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself. Getting knocked down and getting back up, dusting yourself off and getting on that horse.
It's not the boots or the buckle. It's not the chaps. It's not the jeans. It's not the lasso or the cattle. Not the horse or the saddle. You might think they're all long gone, but you don't need a hat to be a cowboy.
After a few months away, Hangman returns with a fire lit under him and eyes for Kenny Omega in this world title. One last shot. Win, lose, or draw, he is going to prove to the world that he is somebody deserving to be in the ring with the self-proclaimed best bout machine. He wants to prove it to himself that he can go the distance against the top guy in the industry. Hangman promises the world that he will beat Kenny Omega, not for himself, not for the Dark Order, but for his newborn son. And when their match finally arrives, the glorious storytelling, my friends. Kenny Omega, much like Chris Jericho before him from years earlier, was treating Hangman as somebody beneath him, someone who has nowhere near the same level of main eventer experience, somebody who is quite simply out of his depth. But Hangman's guts keeps putting Kenny on the back foot, so he starts cheating to compensate. Kenny has fully bought into his own hype. He is drinking his own Kool-Aid of being the best bout machine, the best wrestler in the world. And because of that, he is underestimating Page, and now he has to play catch up. It's a simple underdog story, but told effectively. The cocky, arrogant champion getting knocked on his ass over and over again by somebody who did not expect as an actual challenge. One of my favorite moments of this match was when Kenny is just kneeing Adam repeatedly in the head, trying to force him to stay down and accept his place. But Page defiantly keeps getting up, fighting from underneath and just eating everything that his former partner is throwing at him and dishing it back twice-fold. And then the Young Bucks come out. They both have the opportunity to interfere and cost Hangman the match, just like he cost them. But after everything they've been through together, everything that Page has been through to get back to this moment, they show support for him. Because deep down, this is what the Elite had wanted for Hangman from the beginning, for him to get to this moment, to rise to the occasion and become the man. So they let him have this moment because he deserved it.
Matt's nodding at him. That box shot, Larry, he got him. One. He beat him.
What made Hangman's journey to this moment so amazing was the struggle we saw him go through. His spiral after his first loss and his struggle to build himself back up to this moment. His struggle was never external. He didn't have to beat somebody to get past this like most traditional wrestling heroes. His struggle was always his own sense of inferiority, his insecurity over his place in this company, and him being in the shadow of his more successful friends. His struggle was always himself. We see Hangman through all of this. We see him at his absolute worst, trying to drink the pain away and mask his own inner sadness, his emotions weighing him down and pulling him into a dark and lonely place because of the fact that he failed. It's only after a change in support system and massive fan support does Hangman finally start to change his outlook. He becomes more positive and he slowly pulls himself out of his loneliness and grows into the man he needed to be. The man that could be a world champion. In a world of scripted combat and over-the-top characters, Hangman Adam Page feels like a real person. In all honesty, Hangman Adam Page was my Rocky Balboa. A nobody trying to be a somebody, uncertain of if he's even worth a shot, but the people around him keep pushing him forward because to them, he was always a somebody. He was always worthy of it. And he just had to believe in himself. A hero's rise to the top can be a cathartic and heartwarming moment. But what comes after that? Your audience has seen the end of the hero's journey, and continued success can grow dull and repetitive, because as we all know from Norman Osborn and Spider-Man,
and they found you amusing for a while, the people of this city. But the one thing they love more than a hero is to see a hero fail, fall, die trying. In spite of everything you've done for them, eventually they will hate you. Why bother?
how do you take a hero's journey and flip it on its head? What happens when a hero falls, when a hero fails? How do you take the heroic cowboy and turn him into a mad outlaw? Well, all it takes is a swerve. Swerve Strickland was a journeyman wrestler a lot like Adam Page, traveling the world, gaining mileage and experience as he developed his skill set. And much like Page, Strickland arrives to AEW with a chip on his shoulder. However, unlike Hangman, he is willing to do whatever it takes to get what he wants. Swerve sees the successes Adam Page has had, and he wants it. He wants that spot. But he's not waiting 3 years to get to the top. He sees an opportunity, and he's taking it. He starts attacking Hangman's character, insinuating that since his world title run, he has done nothing but coast. He lost that drive that got him to this position in the first place. Hangman has let the success go to his head and make him lazy. Swerve wants the spot that Hangman is no longer appreciating, and all the opportunities that Hangman has been handed from the jump. Page, respecting Swerve's drive, accepts his challenge, but in his attempts to relight his fire, he puts himself against somebody who simply has more hunger, who wants this more than him, and is willing to do whatever it takes to get to where he wants. And that's what costs Hangman in their first meeting. And while Hangman does respect Swerve in his drive to get there, what he cannot respect is Swerve's willingness to cheat, to win by using any underhanded tactics he can get. And to a small extent, he doesn't respect the fans that are cheering Swerve in doing so.
Seattle, you didn't like me. You know, that's fine. I get it. Swerve's your boy. I don't blame you. If you think cheating, you think hitting guys in the head with something in the middle of the match, you think those are the things that put you in my position, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Now Hangman is the one attacking Swerve's character, insinuating that if you need to do all of this, maybe you don't deserve the shot. Maybe you do not deserve my spot, because if you're having to do all of this just to beat me, then maybe I'm just better than you. Swerve, taking exception to all of this, he decides to make things personal.
Me and the money, my friends. Welcome to the Hangman residence. The hell? Remember I said that last week, it's not you that pays for your actions. I meant to say, it's your loved ones that do. So since you're not here, is it going to be Hangman Jr. does? Huh? I'm going to leave this here as a reminder that you are forever indebted to me. And it's your father's fault.
If Hangman did not have the fire before, he definitely has it now. You do not go threatening a man's family and expect to walk away from this. And because of that, we see a much darker side of Hangman's personality. A lot more violent side too. Their second encounter is just a straight up bloodbath, with Hangman doing everything within his power to make Swerve pay for what he has done to him. Both of them lying in a heap of broken tables, glass, and barbed wire. But it still wasn't enough to topple Swerve. Swerve, in contrast, is 100% willing to kill a guy in order to get what he wants and take whatever distractions he can get, cracking Page in the back of the head with a fucking cinder block and choking him out with a chain. And this is the moment that something snaps inside of Hangman Adam Page. He has been broken down and beaten again and again and again, but he keeps getting back up. Swerve has not been able to take him out in a fair one-on-one fight. Page begins to spiral into obsession and hatred over Swerve, and now both men are the top contenders for the world title. Hangman has gotten to the point where he is willing to do whatever it takes to keep Swerve out of the title picture, taking every shot that he can get to keep him down, even going as far as to lie to the fans and fake an injury just to get the surprise on Swerve in an attempt to take him out before their match.
Are you not hurt? Are you in the championship?
Do I look hurt, you dumbass? I'm fine. I'm in the match, and I'm sorry that I took advantage of the trust of the people tonight, but I had to do it. I had to do it. I would rather die than have Swerve win this world championship. I would rather die than not win it myself. I did what I had to do.
Because after everything Swerve has done, in Hangman's mind, he is someone that does not deserve to be AEW World Champion. He does not deserve to be at the top of the company and carry it on his back. He does not deserve the love and admiration of the fans that comes with being a world champion. We see just how rabid Hangman has become. His emotions has clouded his morals. The man who once refused to take cheap shots, now using the title belt to literally beat it into Swerve's head that he is not the man to represent the company. The man who's shown respect to everybody, now brutalizing refs so they would not count Swerve's win. And in the final moments of the match, Hangman locked in a chokehold from the world champion, looks over at Swerve, and gives up, taking the loss and not allowing Swerve the victory. 12 years of scratching and clawing from Swerve to get to this point. Now, seemingly down the drain. Hangman had screwed him. And here's the thing! Hangman is right in his emotional reactions to Swerve. Bro got hit in the back of the head with a cinder block. Swerve literally threatened his baby. But his emotions has clouded his judgment and is taking him to a very dark place. His idea of justice has now just been corrupted by his obvious need for revenge. And there's one last turn in the story of Hangman Adam Page, and that comes a few months later. After his suspension due to his attacks on all of these referees, Hangman has come back with a vengeance and hyper focus on one thing and one thing only: the newly crowned world champion, Swerve Strickland. He's had to stew in his hatred for months, watching Swerve reach the top of the mountain. He is hyper focused on ruining him and burning his world to the ground.
He broke into my home! He threatened my family! We have to leave! We have to leave our home! Do you understand what that's done to me?
And he's fully gone off the deep end, taking his aggressions out on anybody in his way, standing between him and Swerve, brutalizing friends and foes alike. They're in his way, and he will knock them down. Hangman has officially crossed that line. He has chosen his path of hatred in order to fight what he sees as the bigger evil.
Restrained! He took that AEW World Championship. This! You never deserved but as much as this should have never been yours! This is Hangman Adam Page's worst nightmare. You alive!
He's out for Swerve's blood, and he is not stopping until he gets his pound of flesh. However, his obsession blinded him, and his opportunity after opportunity slipped away. So, there's only one solution left. If he can't take the belt off of Swerve Strickland, then he is going to screw him out of the belt. But he's not done yet. After Swerve agreed to one last grudge match, Hangman decides to make it personal.
Because tonight, live in front of the world, you get to say goodbye to Swerve's house.
Oh my God.
Burning down Strickland's childhood home was the point of no return. There's no going back now. He's choosing his path of hatred, and over the course of their cage match, he's taking everything out on Strickland. All of the sneak attacks, all the cheating, the home invasion, the gallons of blood that he has taken from him, the respect, the honor that he has lost in order to get to this moment. All of it leaving nothing but this angry and bitter man, blinded by his pursuit of justice and those he sees as sinners. And looking back on his path of destruction, all he can do is fall to his knees, in horror of the man that he's become. In order to fight this evil, he became something worse. Wrestling at its heart is emotional storytelling at its finest, and the story of Hangman Adam Page feels like its own Greek tragedy. A man shackled down by his own inner turmoil that fought to overcome his own demons to become a better man for his friends, his family, and himself. An emotional man eventually driven to darkness in order to protect those around him, but only ended up becoming something worse and renouncing every virtue he once stood. An outlaw that now stands alone. A virtuous man having his morals pushed over the edge is a tragic but always interesting story. It's what makes Injustice Superman and Black Suit Spider-Man as interesting as they are. It's an interesting character study. Heroes constantly have to choose between just and unjust, truth and untruth, what's right and what's wrong, and the only answer can be found within themselves. A hero doesn't just flip a switch and become evil or more violent. It's always a series of events that pushes them to change, and the best cases are when a hero has a point, but is taking that point way too far or is blinded by their own emotions to see the wrongs that they're doing. And that's what makes their stories so heartbreaking. Seeing just how far they've fallen from what they originally stood for, the values that they once represented, now lying in ruin. They became the very thing that they've sworn to fight against. That's the appeal of fallen heroes. That is the fall of Hangman Adam Page. I hope y'all enjoyed the video today, folks. I'm pretty sure this is a long one compared to my normal content. I haven't finished editing this yet, so we're gonna see how this plays out. But I hope you wrestling fans enjoyed it all the same. And if you're not a dirty fucking mark like we are, I hope you still enjoyed a look at a very interesting character arc and the parallels it has to some of our favorite stories in fiction. And if you did, Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit me up down in the comments and let me know what is your favorite fallen hero story, whether it is Injustice Superman or the Black Suit Saga or hell, Anakin Skywalker, any of these fallen hero stories. I want to hear your favorites down in the comments below. But for now, I must bid you all adieu. So goodbye, good night, Sage out.